Right. Hello. It is time for my devotional here on Tuesday. I hope you have had a good weekend and that everything went well for you this weekend. Here we are in Nova Scotia. It's kind of a gray day here, and but it's a good to get back into the office, of course. And so here we are today, going to do our devotional, Proverbs chapter 4, verse 13 today. And just to remind you of kind of the rhythm of what's happening in Proverbs as we come into this verse. Proverbs is here in this chapter is making this point of the importance of the teacher and and the student. Really, is a lot of that kind of emphasis in the chapter, and so it kind of opens up with the writer of the Proverbs saying, my parents, my dad, he instructed me when I was young, very young. He started my teaching. And then in the middle section that we're in now, he's like, and I'm teaching you. And so there's this importance of learning the value of getting taught and so on. So that's a recurring theme throughout the first chapters of Proverbs, but especially in this chapter 4. Um, let's take a moment and we'll read the verse, and then let's just go through our questions for today and apply them. So the verse says, "Take hold of instruction, do not let go, guard her, for she is your life." So she, of course, once again, is wisdom. And in Proverbs, uh, wisdom is personified as a woman calling out to you and encouraging you to take her. And in a sense, it's like a betrothal. It's like we're being told that wisdom is like someone we should be courting and wanting to marry, as it were. And so this is the idea. So here it is again: take hold of instruction and do not let go. Guard her, for she is your life. So this particular verse is emphasizing very aggressively the idea of the value of instruction, of the education process, of the learning from a teacher process, and it's telling us that we need to be people who take hold. So the idea, to grab hold, to seize it, it's an aggressive thing, it's an active thing. It's not passive. It's like find instruction, get a hold of instruction, take instruction, seek it out. And so that's the idea of the verse. So let's go through our four questions and just try and expand this idea a little bit and understand it. So the first question might be, is this the Bible's way of saying go to college? And to that I'll say no. That's not quite what the Bible's saying. It's not saying go to college. And the reason I think that's a good first question is because in our particular culture, there's a lot of emphasis on what the world will call, what the colleges themselves will call, higher education. And I'm going to try real hard today not to be too skeptical. I value education deeply and greatly. I've been through higher education to some degree. I didn't get my PhD or anything, but I've been on that road a bit. Um, and there's value, so there's a value to it for certain. But in our culture, we might overemphasize it a little bit, in that we make it seem as if it's kind of this, divine thing. This is so powerful, but really, it's just an institution. That's all it is. The key, what Proverbs is trying to teach us, is not about the place you go to or the institution you are part of or anything like that. It's about getting instruction from a good teacher. That's the key. And so when we want to figure out how to fulfill what the Bible is telling us on the idea of wisdom, growing in wisdom and knowledge, and so on, the emphasis is on the teacher, not the institution. Take hold of instruction, not an institution. And so, yeah, there may be some really amazing teachers at some of these institutions, and there are. But then there's also, and from experience, I can say there have been some not so good instructors at some of these institutions. And I'm sure if you've been through the process, even through your grade schools, I'm sure you've had some years where you had teachers in grade school that were not so great. Some that were fantastic that you'll never forget. It's not the institution that's the key, it's the teachers. Good teachers are valuable, whether they have a doctorate degree, or whether or not they're just the guy down the road who understands life and really gets it, and has no degrees. Whatever the case may be, the key is in finding a good teacher. So once again, referencing Proverbs chapter 4, verse 2 back, you can go back and look at that video if you like, but just emphasizing the idea of what makes a good teacher. What is it that you're looking for in a good teacher? Because when you find that, that's what it is to take hold of instruction, is to say, well, where am I going to get instruction? I'm going to find someone who can instruct, who's good at instructing, who gets the subject, who understands it, who's able to communicate that. And then I'm going to grab a hold of that person and their teaching, and I'm going to absorb it because it's going to make me wiser. And that's the idea that this verse is emphasizing here today. Realize your first education comes from your parents, and that's really important. And you don't get to pick that. Right? You're stuck with whatever parents you got. This is why parents, it's so important that we be good teachers of our children. But that's your first educator, and that you got to work your way through. But as you go on in life, you're going to want to add to that other educators in all sorts of areas of life, whether it be a profession, in which case you probably will go to a school that's an institution that has hopefully collected good teachers on the profession, or whether it's just in the areas of wisdom and philosophy, or just trying to get along in life, or whatever, or even in your profession. There will sometimes be great teachers who aren't in the institution, but you're going to want to collect those in your life. Question 2. Does this apply merely to trades or disciplines, or to other things as well? Now, I kind of jumped the gun on this one, but it applies to everything. In our life, we are designed by God to be learners. So when children are born, they're instantly starting the process of learning. They're already right away, even before they're born, actually. But certainly upon birth, we're already starting to learn things about our environment, about our own state, and eventually we become more and more self-aware and be able to apply and connect those things. And then we grow more, and we start to learn language, and nonverbal communication increases, and then we learn about our family, and we learn about our environment, we learn about what it is to have friends, and more and more. And our whole life is a process of learning and learning. Now, as we get older and we acquire more knowledge, the learning, in a sense, focuses a bit. And then we have to be more deliberate to seek out the instruction. When we're young, we're sponges and everything's learning. But in everything in life, we're always learning, and we have to decide if there's something I want to know, want to grow in, then I need to have good teachers in my life, whether it be a profession or anything else in life. I need to have good teachers. You don't need to get a certificate or a degree or some sort of mark of excellence in everything you ever want to learn in life. You don't have to become an expert gardener. But if you want to do well at gardening, then it's good to get a teacher. As you think, it's just a hobby. Okay, so that's fine. But if you want to do well at it, then get a teacher. We have YouTube, we have the internet, we have books, in your region, you probably have people who are also gardeners. There might even be a club of people who can share ideas. The key is, whatever it is, if you want to become good at it or excellent in it, collect teachers, whether it be your profession or otherwise. If you don't care about it, fine. Just do whatever you want. But if you want to grow in wisdom, then that's what you need to do. So question 3, what if I'm already pretty much an expert on whatever subject it is, and this is, some people think this way. We often act as if, or we often allow ourselves to think, I'm really good at this, I've figured it out now. Okay, so then that's good. If you've become somewhat of an expert, that's good. But what I think the Proverbs would be teaching us is this idea of the value of instruction. I think even if you are an expert, there's a value to constantly having input from other experts, from other people who know what they're talking about. Even if you are able to teach, you still benefit from having others. There's this thing called, and you might have heard of this before, it's called the curse of knowledge. I can't remember who first coined the phrase. I think it was some economist back in the 80s or something like that. But it became popular through somebody's writing. I'm sorry, I can't remember whoever it is. There's a person out there. Go look it up on the internet who taught about the curse of knowledge, and I just demonstrated to you what that's like. See, there's this thing where you can know things but not know what others don't know or what even you don't know about the thing. Like when you're trying to teach something, you can teach it like getting a recipe, for instance. You ever get a recipe from someone or like, oh yeah, just put this, put some sugar in and some eggs and some whatever else it is. I'm not a cook, so I don't know. I don't have the curse of knowledge on that. I know nothing about cooking, but they'll tell you, here's the recipe, just do these things, and you do the recipe exactly as they told you, and it doesn't taste like what they made. And that's because they don't know what you don't know. And so as they're teaching you, they're just teaching you, and there's a certain amount of assumption about what they think you should. Well, you must know this or you must know that. Same with a mechanic or a woodworker or whatever. They'll tell you, but they don't know. The curse of knowledge is they don't know just how much they know. And so as they teach, there's things that get missed because they, oh, well, you surely know that. And you're like, no, I don't. A good teacher, you got to get around that. But then the other is also true. That, you could call it the curse of ignorance. And that is, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the things that you don't know. You don't even know what questions to ask sometimes. And you could be an expert in a field and you can look at yourself and you go, I know all of this. But what you don't know is what you don't know. And so having teachers in your life, good teachers who are able to get past the curse of knowledge, then they can actually help you grow even beyond the expertise you've already gained. And so it's really worth it. And I would say that the probably the best experts are actually people who are able to still keep learning and instead of thinking they've arrived. We have a terrible tendency, but a bit of a lazy tendency to trust our instincts a little too much. Think that hey, I'm good enough at this. I can just let my instincts lead me, as if my instincts were a skill, but they're not. And they will often fail you. They may serve you very well, but they'll often fail you. Or we sometimes think that just sort of like hoping for something is a strategy for success. Um, that's not the way it works. And growing in knowledge is what makes you more and more excellent. And being able to do that even when you're an expert and able to teach others, still having teachers for yourself makes you even sharper. It's worth it. So, question 4: what if I'm the best in my field? What happens if you are absolutely the top in the field? Now, I have a feeling there's nobody in that category watching this video. There are so few people who can make a claim of being the best at something. But I would say, even to them, uh, you're you're only going to be able to be the best if you continue to be someone who is able to receive instruction, even on the thing that you're the best at. If we gain more instruction, there's no one in this world. Let's put it this way: even the best human is still flawed. There is no one in this world who is perfect. There just isn't. I mean, I've been watching some videos of a really amazing musician, Jacob Collier. Yeah, he's fantastic, like just amazing. But as good as he is, he will still benefit by just letting others teach him something. Or the best chess player in the world, what's Magnus Carlsen, the world chess champion. I mean, he's going to keep studying chess and reading other people's games. I'm sure he does. Maybe he doesn't, but I think he probably does. Even the best can still learn. He has a coach. Um, that's the benefit that we that's part of what makes you the best. That's part of what makes you an expert, is the ability to have a teacher. So, all that to say this: your question today: do you have a collection of teachers in your life, good instructors that you've taken hold of and like, that's an instructor? Do you have a collection of them? I do. I would consider myself an expert in a number of areas in my profession. Preaching, I think teaching, you can judge for yourself, but I think teaching, theology and things like that, they're things I have a level of expertise in. But I have a collection of people that I turn to keep teaching me how to be a better communicator, how to be a better teacher, how to be a better theologian, how to be a better pastor. And do you have a collection in your life of people that can help you excel in the areas you want to excel, and most importantly, in the area of wisdom, in the area of godliness? That's important. Collect good teachers. God help us to do so, and bless everyone today. Until tomorrow, Lord willing, we'll see you tomorrow for verse 14.